Okay, this is now the 5 minute tarot for the 2nd of June 2017. And this is, it's about the horoscope spread. And I'm thinking I'll divide it into probably 4 or maybe 5 videos because there are 12 houses in a horoscope. And I think I'd like to look at 3 each day, right? So 4 times 3 is 12. And then maybe on the fifth part, I would do some kind of summary or some kind of show you some other information about the horoscope spread. I'm not quite sure yet. So today, if you're not already familiar with the houses in a horoscope, what you do is you get a piece of paper and you draw a cross on it. And this is what the cross would look like. And those are the 4 quadrants, they're called, the four areas of the horoscope. And then you're going to put 3 houses in each of the 4 quadrants. And so you draw a couple of lines, and on screen you'll see this bottom left quadrant. And so we've got 3 houses in it, the first, the second, and the third. And the houses are numbered anti-clockwise or counterclockwise. So that, and the straight line in the middle, the horizontal line, is the horizon. Horizon, horizontal, it's the same word. So we've got the first house is immediately below on the left, and then the second house follows it, and then the third. And the numbers of the houses remain the same no matter what system you use. But you'll find later that we can renumber the houses, but the idea is that the first house is the self. So, and then the second is your values. The third is communication. Those are the 3 basic meanings of those 3 houses. So what you do is you shuffle and you lay 12 cards face down. So we're going to look first at the quadrant on the left there. So we're going to look at the first, the second, and the third houses, and I've picked a card for each one, and I'll talk about those cards and what we would do with them. So we've got the horoscope spread in front of us, and we can put a time frame on it, and I'm thinking 3 months. So if you're going to do a horoscope spread for yourself or for somebody else, think about 3 months, because it's long enough that you can get an idea of what's going on, but it's not so long that by the time you get, like if you do a year from now, who knows where we'll be or what we'll be doing or what kind of state of mind we'll be in, because a lot can happen between now and a year from now that can change us and mean that something that we don't care about today we'll actually care about a lot a year from now, or something that doesn't bother us today scares us a year from now, or vice versa. So if you stick with 3 months, which is maybe a good number, 90 days, it's long enough that it's a period, but it's also not too long that by the time you get to the end of it, you're so different that you don't recognize yourself. So I was thinking, let's say we shuffle, or you shuffle, and place 12 cards around in a circle, 1 for each house. And then, so we're going to look at the first, second, and third houses. So the first house represents the self. So if the questioner wants to know about themselves or themselves, then you turn the card in the first house and talk about it. There's going to be more, but it's a starting point. So the one that I get here is the Ace of Batons upside down. So that in some way describes the character, the personality, the behavior, the motivation, the inspiration, whatever it happens to be, of the questioner, let's say for 3 months or over the next 3 months period. So we're looking at the Ace of Batons upside down. If the card had been upright, then they would have been full of ideas, full of beans, motivated to achieve stuff and to do stuff. But it's upside down, so it's a bit like they don't want to make a fresh start. Or if they're given a new opportunity, then they're not going to either see that it's an opportunity or want to participate in it In some way, when it comes to making new beginnings, there's a barrier. They either don't believe it's possible or they don't want it, one way or the other. So you get an idea from that Ace of Batons reversed, the kind of person you're talking to. So we could wonder about why are they in that state of mind where they're not that interested in new beginnings. It's a bit like it's spring outside, but they're still in winter. You know what I mean? That they don't see that now is the time, or now could be the time for new beginnings. They're stuck maybe, or they're behind themselves and their own life development. So we might want to know why. Maybe they don't feel well. You know, if you're under the weather, it can mean that you don't want to do stuff. So the sixth house that we'll get to next time is the house of sickness. So you're talking about the first house, the Ace of Batons reversed, but maybe the reader's thinking, okay, when I get to the sixth house that shows sickness and the physical condition of the individual, I'm going to remember this Ace of Batons reversed, because it maybe help to explain why they're represented by this particular card upside down. Maybe they feel under the weather, so we would look at the card in the sixth house and talk about it and what can be done to make it better, let's say. And then that can have an impact on the self. So maybe you can talk about what the person can do to become motivated, but maybe what you do is that can be just a general, things will be okay, or you want to encourage them that things are going to be okay, but you don't have any real reason for explaining or for the person to believe you either. Whereas if you go to the sixth house and talk about health matters, or what can be done to improve their physical well-being, that can have an impact on the lack of motivation shown by the Ace of Batons reversed. Or maybe it's a philosophical problem. Right, that they're depressed, they don't see much point in living, or they don't see much point in doing anything because it's not going to work, so why even bother in the first place? And that's, if you're thinking, okay, maybe it's a philosophical problem, the ninth house that we'll get to in a couple of days shows you philosophy of life. So maybe when you turn that card, you're remembering back to what we did with the first house, and thinking maybe the solution to the problem shown by the Ace of Batons reversed is contained in the ninth position or in the ninth house. And this is how you can get great detail and real depth of understanding from a horoscope spread, when you begin to combine what's shown in one house with what's shown in another, and use what's shown in one house as a solution for what is given or what is indicated in a separate house. So the self is represented by the Ace of Batons reversed. Then we talk about that a little. And then we turn to the second house, which shows it partly is earned income. So if the person wants to know about, again, it can be a general question. They want to know what's the best way to make an income, or what can I do to improve my financial situation. The second house is earned income. So you would look at the card there to get an idea of what they could or should do if they want to improve their financial situation. Or if, depending on who it is, let's say it's a student and they're finishing university, or they're finishing a college course and they have to get a job. You could give them information from the second house that would help them choose whether to go, let's say, into, I don't know, advertising or publishing, or an office job, or management training, and so on. So the card in the second house will give you an idea of how the person makes money, or ideally will make money. And then you can help them zero in on a lucrative kind of business or career or occupation that will enable them to earn money in a way that they're compatible with, or that's compatible with them. But if you look to the second house that shows a value sense, which in some ways what you care about, here we've got the nine of batons. So what's important for the person, and their value sense. Maybe their value sense is safety first. They've been battered, they've been bruised, they've been beaten up by life, let's say, or they've had struggles and difficulties, and they're now wounded and they're taking a bit of a break. So that can be why the Ace of Batons is upside down. They don't feel strong enough to do what's required. And so with the Nine of Batons showing maybe their value sense at the moment, and again, we're thinking of a 3-month period, it's not forever, but their value sense is one where protect yourself first, or rest and relax and recuperate and get over and get your strength back. And if that's their motivation at the moment, it's not surprising that they don't want to do new things, represented by the Ace of Batons, but it's upside down. And then the third house is the house of, it shows brothers and sisters. So if they want to know about brothers and sisters, you would look to the card that's here. It also shows how you communicate, how you speak, how you drive. And it's easy to think of the third house as being not that important, because it's how you communicate, so what? But if the person's going for an interview, then how they communicate can be really important. You can see from the card in the third house, if they're automatically a good communicator, if they can get their point across clearly and well, or whether they're going to struggle. Because depending on the card, maybe you would advise them to go into the interview having thought through all the questions that the interviewers might ask, and they've come up with an answer, because the person, depending on the card, maybe they're not good at thinking on their feet or coming up with answers at the moment because they're nervous or whatever it happens to be. There's one fellow I know who went for a job, and after the interview they said to him, okay, would you like to ask us anything? The interviewer said this, and the fellow it hadn't occurred to him that they would ask him that, so he didn't know what to say. So he came across as looking uninterested because he didn't have any questions for them about the company and the conditions and so on. So it's a good idea sometimes, and so you could get the idea that the person's not going to know what to say. So go in with a few questions in mind that you can use if you need them. Or maybe you're having an argument with somebody or a difficulty with somebody, and if you can't get your point of view across to the other person, then you haven't got that good a chance of winning the argument or converting them to your point of view. So the third house can be useful from that point of view, not just in a general way about whether you're a good communicator, but the strengths and weaknesses of the way you're communicating right now and for the next couple of months. And so here we've got the star reversed. And because the star is a card of hope and inspiration, we can say that maybe because that Ace of Batons is reversed and that you're not motivated to go out and do stuff, because you're protecting yourself from the Nine of Batons, that means that you're not going to be able to, my mind just went blank there. Okay, so I go back to the star reverse, and it's hope and it's inspiration, but it's upside down. It can be that you're going to talk about what's wrong all the time, and you're going to close your eyes to what's good or what can be recovered or what's viable or what's possible. And it can be that we don't know how other people are going to react to this. The 11th house shows friends. So we can turn that card and wonder about what kind of people or what frame of mind your friends are going to be in for a while. And that can be useful to explain how to turn the star upright, which is probably better and a desirable thing to do, or situation to have, the star upright instead of the star reversed. Okay, that's something about the first three houses. So why don't you try this for yourself? Shuffle and lay 12 cards around and then make a note, because the thing is, as I mentioned last time, The horoscope spread is the kind of spread you can do, but it doesn't last for 5 minutes. So you can keep it in mind for 2-3 months and begin to understand complexity and understand connections between different areas of life and see how they work out and see how the actual working out among different areas of life was indicated by the cards that came up. So it can give you a better idea of how the tarot, it's not that it tells the future, but it gives us an idea of what is coming up. Probably because deep down within us, we already know what's coming up. So it's not magic, and it's not, otherworldly forces making this happen. It's probably a wise part of us that's presenting our own path for us. Okay, that's it for today. Tomorrow we'll look at the 4th, 5th, and 6th houses. Okay, bye-bye.